Across the heart of the American Midwest lies Indiana, state known today for its cities, farms, industries, and famous crossroads. But beneath its modern landscape is much older story, a story of ancient communities, powerful cultures, conflicts, migration, ambition, and transformations. Indiana's story did not begin with European settlement or statehood. Long before roads, railways, and cities appeared, this land was home to Native American people who lived, hunted, farmed, traded, and built communities across its forests, rivers, and valleys. Evidence shows that humans lived in the regions thousands of years ago, with early inhabitants arriving as far back as the Archaic period around 8000 BC. The people who lived here adapted to the changing environment. They hunted animals, gathered resources from rivers and forests, created tools, and developed traditions that connected them to the land. Over centuries, different cultures rose and disappeared, leaving behind artifacts and archaeological sites that reveal the complexities of Indiana's earliest societies. Among the most important early cultures were the Hopi and Mississippian peoples. These communities built ceremonial mode, developed farming practices, and created trade networks that connected Indiana with distinct regions. The Mississippian cultures, which flourished around 900 AD and later brought larger settlements, maize agriculture, advanced craftsmanship, and more complex social structure. One of the most significant Native American centers in Indiana was the Angel Mounds, which sits near the Ohio River. It represented a highly organized societies with planned structure, ceremonial areas, and connection to larger cultural networks. These communities remind us the Indians' stories began thousands of years before the arrival of Europeans. During the 1600s, Indiana entered a new chapter as European explorers and traders reached the region. French fur trade were among the first Europeans to arrive during the 1670s. They were drawn by the valuable fur trade and Indiana's location between the Great Lakes and the Mississippian River system. France established trading posts and built relationships with Native American nations, including the Miami, Oye, and other Algonquian-speaking peoples. The regions became an important link in French communication and trade routes across North America. However, Indiana was also caught in larger struggle between European powers. France and Great Britain competed for control of North America, and their rivalry eventually led to the French and Indian War. After France's defeat, Britain gained control of the territory. Later, after the American Revolution War, the region became part of the newly formed United States. These changes brought the new political system and increasing pressure on Native American lands. As American settlement expanded, conflicts grew between native communities defending their homelands and settlers seeking new territory. In 1800, the Indian Territory was created as the United States organized its western lands. At that time, the territory was much larger than the modern state and included areas that later became part of other states. The growth of population and settlement eventually led Indiana to its statehood. On December 11, 1816, Indiana officially became the 19th state of the United States. The young state faced enormous challenges. Leaders wanted to transform Indiana from frontier region into a developed society with roads, schools, canals, and better transportation. They believed that improving infrastructure would attract settlers and strengthen economy. However, these ambitious plans created financial problems. Large spending on internal improvement placed heavy pressure on the state finances, and by the early 1840s, Indiana faced a serious debt crisis. The state responded with financial reforms and new constitution in 1851, changing how government operated and creating a stronger foundation for future growth. Despite struggles, Indiana continued to expand. Towns grew, transportation improved, and agriculture became a major part of the state economy. Indiana's early story was deeply connected to the debate over slavery, citizenship, and equality. Although Indiana entered a union as a free state, African Americans faced discrimination and legal restriction for many years. The struggle for equal rights would continue throughout the state's story. Indiana also became part of the national conflict that led to the American Civil War. When war was in 1861, Indiana supported the Union cause. Thousands of Hoosiers volunteered for military services, and Indiana soldiers fought in many major battles throughout the conflict. The late 19th century marked a major turning point for Indiana. The discovery of natural gas in the 1880s helped fuel industrial development, especially in northern Indiana. New factories appeared, communities grew, and manufacturing became a central part of the state's identity. Indiana became known for producing automobiles, machinery, musical instruments, and other manufactured goods. Cities such as South Bend, Elkhart, and Gary became important industrial centers. Innovation also shaped Indiana's future. In 1876, Eli Lilly founded a pharmaceutical company that grew into one of the world's leading medicine producers. The company's achievement helped make Indiana a major center for pharmaceuticals research and manufacturing. Transportation played an important role in this transformation. Railroads connected Indiana's communities and opened new economic opportunities. Indiana Police grew a central location, eventually becoming a state capital and major business hub. Indiana's history is not only a story of politics and industry, it is also a story of culture, creativity, and identity. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Indiana experienced a literary and artistic movement often called the Golden Age of Indiana literature. Writers created stories that reflect rural life, community values, and experiences of ordinary people. Artists also found inspiration in Indiana's landscape. The Hoosier School of Landscape Painting became organized for its powerful image of forests, hills, rivers, and countryside. The word Hoosier became closely connected with Indiana's identity, while the exact origin of the term remains debated. It became symbol of the state's people and their reputation for determination, independence, and community spirit. The 20th century brought new challenges and opportunities. Indiana experienced economic difficulties during the Great Depression, but the industries expanded again during period of national growth and wartime production. The state continued to change as cities grew and population became more diverse. African American communities expanded, especially during the Great Migration, when many black Americans moved north seeking better economic opportunities and safer communities. At the same time, Indiana continued to confront issues of discrimination and inequality. The state's history includes both efforts toward progress and example of exclusion. Understanding both sides of this history is essential for understanding Indiana today. Modern Indiana combines many identities. It remains an important agricultural state while also being home to manufacturing, technology, healthcare, education, and research institutes. Indiana's story is a story of movement and changes. It is the story of native peoples who shaped the land for thousands of years, explorers who crossed its river, settlers who built communities, workers who powered its industries, and generation of people who fought for a better future. From ancient earthworks to modern cities, Indiana reflects the larger American experience, a journey filled with achievement, conflict, struggle, and hope. The state's history is not only found in monuments, museums, or textbooks, it lives in communities, tradition, and people who continue to shape Indiana every day. Indiana is more than a place on a map. It is a continuing history of human courage, adaptation, and endless pursuit of progress.